Good morning. Uh-oh. Donald has frozen. Donald.
Man,
Oh, there you are.
I hate this computer. I do.
I was going to say, we were all ready to go. We get started, and now you're gone.
Yeah.
I
How
got
you
to tell
doing?
you something. When I set up the time for this, I had completely had the time zone switched around. And when I was thinking, okay, 10 o'clock your time, in my mind, I was thinking 9 o'clock my time. So I got up at 7 o'clock, started getting things ready to do this, and about a half hour before, I was like, wait a minute, he's behind me. So his
Yeah.
10 o'clock is my 11 o'clock, and I thought, well, shit, now I got all this extra time here.
Well, I got off at 7, so I've been up since 6, or actually 5, about 5:50, and then of course we have stuff to do in the mornings when we leave, and then before we leave, and they
You got
swapped our shift
a busy day.
from leaving. Huh?
You got a busy day today too.
Yeah, I got uh grand grandbaby's got two soccer games this afternoon. So, and who knows what else on the plate, whatever falls in.
Well, as you can see, I did a whole new background here for us. Well, somewhat. I I tweaked it so that I could have everything all on the screen instead of behind us. So now
Gotcha.
you can actually read the title of the show at the top instead of it going across the middle.
Gotcha. Looks good.
It's something I've been doing on all the shows so that I can get the logos out.
Looks good.
So today we're going to be talking about Crown Jewel from last night.
Yeah, it started way early than normal. That kind of threw me for a loop there because usually it's about 6 o'clock or so when it comes on. This one actually started at 12 o'clock my time.
Yeah. Well, it was in Saudi Arabia too.
Right. So I'm sure their time difference makes a big difference there. It's probably 6 o'clock over there.
Something like that. Um, and they had been going over to Saudi Arabia since I'm looking it up here. Uh, 2018 when they started with the Greatest Royal Rumble, the 50-man Royal Rumble. What a
I'm going to
match!
look at that one. I don't remember that one. I'm going to go back and look at that.
That's the one that Braun Strowman won.
Okay.
And that was also the one where Daniel Bryan at the time entered number one and lasted all the way to the end. And by the end of the match, his chest was
Red.
shreds. Yeah, I I don't know how he would have been able to put a shirt on after that match.
You definitely have to go look at that one. That was probably around the time you said Daniel Bryan, so that was a time when I wasn't watching.
Maybe it was right after he came back from um, uh, what was then considered retirement due to his concussions. It was right after he came back from that. So let's get into Crown Jewel here. Let's um, to me the card as a whole was decent. It wasn't WrestleMania by any means,
Right.
but it wasn't a bad card. They had some good matches lined up, and they delivered. If you watch that pre-show match, which I question why they even put it on the pre-show, because that would have been a great opener. The To me, Sami Zayn and JG Madonna, they had that crowd on fire.
I didn't actually get to see that one. I was in and out of the room during that time, and the dang TV was messing up. It kept kicking everything back out to regular TV station because we got Peacock on the station, and it kept on kicking it completely out.
Oh wow!
And I had to reset it up. So once it came back on, it was already over with.
Okay. Well, Sami Zayn ended up winning the match, um, and Sammy's got this feud going on with the Judgment Day.
Right. Now I did see the end part of it. I'll take that back. I did see the end part of it.
Did Did you see?
No. I'll take that back. I did not see that. That was on the actual show.
I was going to say JG McDonald had a nasty wound on the side of his stomach. It looked like the worst case of rug burn you can possibly imagine. It was all scraped up and everything. And I ended up going back through this morning watching that match and saw where he did it. It was one of those things where you're on the apron and you're fighting your guy, and then all of a sudden you just drop off the apron and you bring the guy's neck down on the top rope.
Right.
And that's what JD did to Sammy. And when he did that, his body turned and the side of his stomach scraped up against the LED display that they had.
Ow.
Yeah. Um, you saw immediately after that. As soon as you got in the ring and started fighting, it looked like a rash on the side of his stomach. And later on, they didn't exactly do a close up of the wound itself, but it was right up there at the camera. And they just happened to pan to it. You could see where it was scraped really bad. Um,
I'm sure
you
they'll.
know,
I'm sure they'll address that. Put some extra protection or something on those screens now or something.
oh, they're going to have to if he's on Raw Monday night. 'Cause that ain't going to clear up for a little while. um, but he got through the match. Sammy beat him with the first he did the haluva kick and then he did the Blue Thunder suplex, Blue Thunder something, Blue Thunder bomb, which is like a modified power bomb.
Right.
So he ended up winning that match, and the crowd just exploded. That crowd is solid behind Sammy.
Yeah, I was wondering about that during um the reaction. I know I'm kind of getting ahead of the thing, but the reaction of Cody Rhodes coming out with Old American Nightmare and the flags and everything there. I was wondering how
I
that was going to go over.
I dare say that Sammy is really more over than Cody is. And Cody's over big time, but Sammy is at a different level.
Right.
Um, I personally think that part a good portion of Cody being over is more manufactured, as Sammy was organic from day one. That's my opinion.
I'm wondering if they had piped in uh, crowd noises and everything else during Cody's entrance
I'm not sure.
because it was really loud.
I know they did that for Roman when they were trying to get him over, and the fans just weren't having it.
I saw a post the other day about, I guess it was a live show or it could have been a taping, could have been somewhere. I didn't really read the details on where they were, or if it was live, show, meaning, they're live on TV. But somebody had posted that they piped in a bunch of booze and everything for Dominic because the crowd was going nuts. The crowd was cheering for him, and they were, they kept on chanting "mommy" and everything else in it. They were trying to keep the the heat on him, I guess you'd say, by pumping in negative uh, stuff.
In a weird way, I think Dominic is starting to get over himself. Um, but he has surprisingly done really well as a heel.
Can you move that? Did you eat any Campbell's cheese?
Is that a visitor?
Yeah,
Didn't answer.
Yeah, Dominic surprisingly has done really well as a heel. Um, he's still got a lot of work to do as far as his in ring stuff, but his promos, I think he's getting better.
yeah. I was actually watching some old stuff yesterday before uh, the pay per view came on yesterday morning,
Yeah.
and uh, and even after. And I was watching Survivor Series where I think it was 20, no, 8. Anyway, I was watching one where what was the first one where the Elimination Chamber where Triple H got hurt during the match from RVD's splash, and
Oh, I
of
was.
course then it started scrolling in, some other after it was over. It kind of took whatever was in the next line and saw, Brock Lesnar really young and Cena really young, and there was one point where Randy Orton, of course, he had hair, and he was had his arm in a sling, and he was talking about he was doing a promo, and I was like, my God, your promos have gotten way better than this crap. I didn't realize his promos early on, at least this one was like, it doesn't sound natural. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it takes him a little while to really get it. Roman Reigns is a perfect example of it. We remember that encounter that he had with John Cena and John.
Yeah. Called him out on it. Yeah.
Oh man,
Use your big boy words or something. Wasn't that what it was?
it was. He took Roman to school that day,
Yeah.
but now Roman is top notch. He's he's got that crowd in his hands for sure.
Yeah. And mostly in a negative way, but it is
Oh
what it is.
yeah, yeah. But but we'll get to Roman here later. So Crown Jewel comes on, and they do the whole thing where they pan the crowd. They had a pretty good crowd. Michael Cole, Wade Barrett, and Michael was trying to introduce the Arabic announce team, he kept flubbing up on the word Arabic. He did it 3 or 4 times, and he said it. I'm going to get it right. But here they are. Um, and what and the set that they had. Did you see that big diamond that they had above the ring?
I didn't know if that was actually there or it was graphic.
I, first I thought it was graphic too, but then when they started showing the different camera angles, you could see that diamond there, and it was a diamond shaped screen.
I was wondering that too.
I thought that was a really nice touch that they did with that.
Yeah, the venue itself with the light show and the lasers and all that stuff was just top notch. It looked
It
really,
was.
really good.
It was a little smaller than I expected it to be, though.
The arena,
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't know
it
why.
looked like it looked a little like an NXT uh, type
Yeah,
size crowd.
it did. I could have sworn it was a much bigger arena in
Let me look up.
uh, it's the Mohammed Abdu Arena. The seating capacity there is 13,000.
That's what I was fixing to look up.
Yeah. And okay, they used it 2 years ago for Crown Jewel, and they had 22,000 in there. But this year it looked really small. Um, they have not announced the attendance for it yet, but I don't think it's going to be 22,000. If it is, I'd be surprised. Um, but that first match, obviously they were going to open it up with the World Heavyweight title, since Roman is going to be in the main event. Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre,
That was
and knowing those two, you knew that was going to be a really good match.
yeah. I rather enjoyed that match, and you had crowd favorites on both sides.
Yes.
And it kept going back and forth. Of course, towards the end, going back and forth, go back and forth, and all. But was that the match? Was that the match I sent you? Said, my God, what a headbutt!
Yep, that was it.
Yeah. Oh, God,
Right.
it
Listen,
looked,
Well, that was
yeah, it looked,
Drew McIntyre and
yeah, it looked real as real could get when I saw it.
Drew's pretty good about those headbutts he's been throwing around. Um,
Is that you or me?
oh, hi, Chris. Good morning.
Oh, what's up, Chris?
Yeah, I could have seen that match going either way, and I would have been good with it going either way. Because I can understand it both ways. Because Drew's contract is up next year, so I could see them giving him a run as maybe as an incentive to re-sign.
Right.
Um, and I can also see Drew not going over because he hasn't re-signed. Um, but I could also see Drew winning so that Seth could take a little bit of a break because he does have back issues. It's just not as bad as what they were
They
saying.
played it up to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was hoping. I mean, I'm good with either way it went. I was hoping that Drew would. I found myself rooting more for Drew towards the middle and the end of the match.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping, I guess, he would win it. But now I look back, they did a behind the scenes little show where Rhea Ripley was looking at him and she said something to him and walked off. And I'm wondering if they're not gonna turn him heel a little bit. I think they're what I'm thinking they're going to do is they're going to do a downward spiral of him where he's going to start matches, he's going to wind up losing, and then maybe taking them up on the offer of joining. But I mean, by no means does he need that faction. He's good by himself. And anyway, it might throw some twists and turns in there in the storyline of Drew and all of them.
I don't see Drew as the kind of person who would be taking orders or looking for permission to do anything from Rhea.
Right. And they may wind up doing something where he's got a match and they come out and help him out and he winds up winning. I could see that happening.
Maybe, I don't
That'd
know.
be interesting.
What I am thinking is that he's going to consider it and then double cross him at the last minute.
I could see that.
Uh,
And that'll start another little feud going with him and them.
Can you imagine Drew versus Dominic?
Oh my God.
That'd be a
that'd
squash
be
if
murder.
there ever was one.
If they wanted to really push him, that would be the way to do it. Him fighting that big guy. It's kind of like they did with Mysterio in Big Show back in the day, back in WCW.
I remember that. Oh man, he could. Big Show could literally fit Ray in the palm of his hands. And then after the match, Damian Priest tries to cash in his Money in the Bank.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to change, and Drew, I don't know if Drew's ever been a heel. Has he been a heel?
He
Or is he-
was when he first came back.
Or is he one of those guys that it doesn't matter what he is, you're still going to get the crowd behind
He
him?
is now, but when he first came back, let me backtrack here. When he first came back, he came back to NXT. And I don't remember if he was heel or face then or like a tweener. But when he came back into WWE, he was Dolph Ziggler's bodyguard, and he was full-fledged heel then. Yeah. And then when something happened and Drew had enough and he attacked Dolph, and he's had the crowd behind him ever since.
And you had that whole time where COVID was shutting everything down and they were having the events with no crowd there. And it's like, that was a weird time because it just wasn't as exciting, without the crowd there. You got everybody, coming out like they normally do, like,
Yeah. And they actually mentioned it during the match that Drew carried the company through the pandemic.
Right.
Which he did. And I felt bad for him because he never, at least on the first time when he won the title at WrestleMania, he never got to do that in front of the fans. But when he won the title the second time, he did.
Right.
But Damian Priest, it kind of baffles me because let's think about it. First of all, Damien comes in. He actually gives the referee the briefcase, and then I think the announcer said that he was cashing in.
Yeah, they did. I
And
don't
then
think the bell ever rang.
from behind.
I don't think the bell ever rang because you were just a few seconds ahead of me. Because when I saw us chatting back and forth, you said Zane,
Yeah,
and I had looked at my phone and I looked up and it's like then Zane jumped out. I was like, oh
and here I was thinking I was 2 minutes behind you.
yeah. I was like, oh wow. Of course, then they run off, and I think during the show last night, something was said about him and Rhea. They had a little behind the scenes shot where I said, "Hey, let's go find my briefcase." So I'm sure that's going to bring into Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, yeah, I didn't see that. Didn't see that clip. It must have been one of those times where I had to step away for a minute.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was towards the end of the show.
Okay. But I thought that was hilarious. I don't recall anybody ever coming in, stopping somebody from cashing in, and actually running off with the briefcase.
Right.
I don't think that's happened before.
Sammy's being a thorn in the side to Judgment Day, just like it was with the Bloodline there. At one point in time.
Yeah. Because the bloodline kept butted in with his feud with the bloodline. But that was just a very comedic moment, uh, and it's nice to have those little things in the shows.
Yeah, I mean, for it to be serious all the time, it would be
Right.
not.
So that begs the question. Let's say he did cash in, there was no interference, and he wins the title. He's got a match later on with Cody. Is he going to put that title up for grabs that night or what?
Yeah, that's what I was kind of leaning to in our message, and I was like, my prediction was he's going to cash in, he's going to wind up winning, and he's going to have his match with Cody, and that would way to maybe not the crown jewel, maybe back in the States at a big event. I don't say bigger event, but a bigger event. That could possibly happen.
It could. But at the same time, Damien, he doesn't deserve that kind of treatment, not a 90-minute title reign.
Right.
Now I could see them doing that to somebody like Dominic, per se, or even the Miz. I can see them getting away with doing a 90-minute reign for one of those two guys, but not Damien.
And maybe that's what they were thinking about also, and not. I'm sure it was probably an idea that got thrown in, storyline wise behind the scenes, but I think they got something bigger for him not getting to cash in all these things. He's going to wind up blaming it on Judgment Day, and I think it's going to be part of that whole split. And then when he does cash it in, he's going to wind up winning something without them there.
And I think what will ultimately happen is that whoever beats Seth, that's who he's going to cash in on.
Probably.
I don't see him doing it on Seth, but whoever Seth ultimately loses the title to,
is going to look. They ain't going to have it very long.
Right.
They're going to have it, 30 seconds, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to happen right then.
And wouldn't it be something if it was Finn?
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah.
And that starts a whole big feud with them.
Yep. And it would give Finn the chance to finally get revenge on Seth, take that title, and then boom, here comes Damian Priest.
That'd be a good turn right there. That'd be
Yeah.
the good point to where, I'm leaving Judgment Day on that note.
And they were teasing that at SummerSlam too.
Of them two fighting in SummerSlam.
Well, um when Finn and Seth were fighting it out at SummerSlam and Damian came out, and Finn was thinking, what, are you gonna cash in on this match? Sort of like how Seth did with Roman and Brock at WrestleMania.
Right. I see Seth keeping it until at least WrestleMania. I mean, you're not that far off.
No, we're not.
Unless you want to build something big up for WrestleMania and having Balor and Finn fighting at WrestleMania for the title.
I don't know.
If they go through, all the process we're talking about.
I guess it would all depend on how long Seth can go before he actually has to do something about his back.
Yeah, I'd rather him lose it than drop it. Just makes more sense storyline.
Mm-hmm. Because he already had to vacate the WWE title once. That'd be pretty sad if he had to vacate a second world title.
Right.
The next match we saw 5 women just fight it out.
That match wasn't that long.
No, that was actually along with the Cody Damian match, the shortest match of the night, aside from Sammy and JD, but that's pre-show.
Right.
But you had 4 powerhouse badasses, and then Zoe Stark was the one who stood out because she wasn't a powerhouse like the other 4
are.
Right. And even Zoe
did really good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of what happened with. I know Jax didn't even start the match. She kind of slid out while everybody else was doing their thing. And
if I remember right, I think the 4 of them were going to go right after her at the jump, and that's why she left the ring, because she knew it was coming.
I could see it.
Yeah, because she's the biggest one out there, and that's what you want to do. You want to get rid of the biggest one, because that person would be the most likely to win the match.
Yeah. Trying to refresh my memory on the action. The other way. I was trying to remember my whole. No, turn them the other way. I got light issues, as you can tell.
Yeah, I see that.
All of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when she did that, and oh boy, did the internet ever blow up on that one.
Give me a sec. I'm having light issues.
All right. So yeah, Going into this match, I was predicting Rhea to win because I didn't think it was time yet for her to lose the title. I can actually see her holding on to the title until WrestleMania next year.
Next year or the one coming up? 40.
I see Rhea holding on to the title until WrestleMania. Give her a good year-long reign, and then whoever she loses it to is going to be getting over big.
And it may not even be somebody that's on the roster right now. Yeah.
It's a possibility.
I would like to see Rodriguez.
Yes.
I'd like to see her get it.
She was one that I had been pretty high on these last few months, but she and Zoe, how she's been doing lately, I can see her getting it too. But Raquel would be the more believable.
Yeah, because you got two powerhouses in there together. If you get it to Rodriguez.
Now, Shayna, she actually had 3 of the women in a submission hold at the same time.
Yes, that was pretty wild.
It was, and she had Nia in that sleeper or a chokehold, and it looked like Nia was just hanging there by her head.
Yeah, I was looking at that. You were kind of close when she started slumping, and I was looking at her face. I was like, I wonder if she's blacking out. And
it looked like
she got out, and then she kind of rolled out to the side. I said, well, she's not out enough to where she don't know what she's doing.
Right. That.
I was watching a documentary the other day about a match. I can't remember who it was, but somebody had them in a similar. It was 2 guys, and I want to say it might have been Edge. Or Edge was fighting somebody. Anyway, he actually blacked. They had him in a chokehold submission, and he actually blacked out, passed out for a few seconds.
I think I remember something about that.
The way they had it positioned, the body positioned and all, it was like it basically it took him out for a few seconds. It took a few minutes to get the cobwebs, cleared out during the match.
I think I remember that, and I also remember this same scenario went way back when with Jake Roberts and Ricky Steamboat when he did the DDT out on a concrete floor.
Now I remember seeing that when I was a kid. On was that a main event or was that WrestleMania 3?
No, this was actually before WrestleMania 3. Just one of the regular TV shows that they had at the time.
It must have been a Saturday night's main event. And I remember that DDT when he pulled. Yeah, he DDT'd him on the floor, did it?
Yep.
I never knew it actually knocked him out.
Yeah, it knocked him out. Jake didn't want to do it because he was afraid that Ricky wouldn't be able to brace himself for it. And he said, yeah, I'll be able to do it. I'll be able to do it. Let's do it. So he did, and Ricky didn't. And Ricky was out for a little bit.
That was back when wrestling was real.
A lot more real than it is today, that's for sure. But yeah, Shayna, she had Nia in that sleeper, and I think it was Rhea and Zoe in the toeholds.
Yeah.
And I remember Michael Cole was saying, you only need one of those 3 to tap, and it's all over.
Yeah.
Uh,
That'd have been a way to finish, wouldn't
it would have been, but the finish that they did do,
it? Was good.
yeah, that was real good too. Um, how somebody didn't get somebody was banged up from that
Yeah,
one.
that's a lot of people. You know what? You had two. Did you have two people in there? Or one? No, you just have one, didn't you? Once you come down on the with the slammed on top of them.
Yeah, it was from the second rope.
Who
We
was who was on top? Was it Nia?
I no,
That'd be the sensible thing to do is put Nia on there. She's got a lot of
I want to say Nia was on the floor.
probably so.
Yeah, I want to
Yeah,
say
she was on the floor whenever the match was over. I remember
so.
seeing that.
So it would have been Raquel and Shayna. One was covering the other, and it was Zoe, I think, that she had in that riptide.
Yeah,
But um, delivered an avalanche riptide to Stark onto Raquel and Baszler, and then she pinned Baszler.
so they had
Uh,
the stronger of the women in there on top to help with the impact.
yeah. So Raquel, I think, was the one who was trying to pin Baszler, and having all three women on yeah, having all three women on top of Baszler. She was the one to get pinned. And I have to say, it feels like they keep missing the mark with Shayna. Okay.
Sorry about that.
Hey, go away.
Nobody wants to talk to me until I'm on here.
But it seems like they keep missing the mark on Shayna.
Yeah, well, going back on that, you got the the technical part of it. You got Shane on the bottom who is really strong, and then you got Rodriguez on top of her. So it would make the most sense to me in doing that move that the least likely to get injured would be the way they did it.
Yeah. And you can tell that Raquel's got a very strong back.
Yeah, even
Obviously,
though,
every time she makes her appearance, she does that little flex thing that she does with it.
and it first hit me last night when she did that little flex pose on the back. It was like, we can't even see your back. You're completely covered up. And that's when we talked about it on the chat and all that. It's like, well, they're in Saudi Arabia, so they're covered from head to toe or from neck to neck down.
Having brought that up, and yeah, we did talk about that in chat, and I had noticed that some of the women in the crowd were wearing short sleeve shirts.
I don't know how that whole society goes with that because you can see some guys in full gown, dress, and head and all that, and then you see other ones that aren't.
Yeah,
So I don't know how all that falls in, but they've come a long way from you know
they have.
the past few years. 'Cause that was always the thing, how they're going to do women's matches over there. They're so strict on what the women wear and this and that.
Let me see. I'm trying to go back to see
Let her in.
which event Because the first time that they went to Saudi Arabia, women were not allowed to wrestle. Um, okay, so the October 2019. So it was their fourth show in the Saudi series where they were finally able to have a women's match, and that was Natalia and Lacey Evans. So that was their first women's match in Saudi Arabia, and they have been able to add more and more. And I think one day, may not necessarily be in this 10-year series, but one day they'll eventually have a women's match main event, one of their pay per views.
Maybe what?
Main event, have one of the women main event one of their pay per views at some point. Right. I think eventually that will happen.
That goes back to, we were discussing also in the chat with Rhea Ripley's entrance. They did it really nice. I like the new look with the long hair.
Yes, I definitely like that too. But yeah, that entrance, that was like one of the WrestleManias when the Undertaker was, because he said it had Undertaker vibes. It was like, I think it was one of the WrestleManias when Undertaker came out and they had Druids come out one at a time, and they had those torches.
Yeah, they've done that many times with the Druids coming out.
Yeah.
I really liked those entrances when they were doing Taker that way.
And I thought that was so awesome that they would do that for Rhea. She had the best entrance of the night, really.
Yeah.
And the way that everything's been kind of feeling with Crown Jewel is that Crown Jewel is literally Saudi's WrestleMania.
Yeah. That's their big thing.
Yeah. And because they get 2 pay-per-views a year. One is Crown Jewel, and the other is something else. Rather, it's Elimination Chamber, or let's see, they had Money in the Bank. No, they did not have Elimination Chamber, Night of Champions, and Super Show. So they keep alternating the other ones, whereas Crown Jewel is always in that last weekend of October, first weekend of November, wherever that falls.
What's the next match?
The next match was the one that I was looking forward to. John Cena and Solo Sikoa.
There we go.
That was a brutal match.
I watched the replay on it this morning while I was doing some other things. So I was just like trying to watch this and trying to do stuff. So
yeah,
I didn't get to watch it. But I did see the results, and I mean, Cena was taking it to him at the beginning of that match.
He was.
He tried the spike several times in there and kept dodging it, kept reversing it.
And 11 spikes before he finally pinned him. 11 spikes. At that point, pinning him was an act of mercy.
How many times did he hit him with it?
11.
Oh, he hit him with it 11 times? I'm about to go back and watch that again.
He hit him. He hit him with it 4 times separately. There at the end of the match, and then he picked him up and then just did 7 right in a row.
Oh, okay.
But ultimately, he hit him with 11 spikes in a row. That was your last 11 moves, those spikes. And I was glad to see that Solo was getting this match, because that's huge. And something I never realized, Michael Cole mentioned this as Solo was coming out, is that he is the 5th man ever to have his debut singles match at a pay-per-view against John Cena. He's been in tag matches, but this is his first singles match at a big event. I know that Kevin Owens was one of those 5. He mentioned another one. I forget who it was. So now that makes me wonder who all of them were. Yep, he has. He has. And it's interesting that they brought back the Spike, because Triple H came up to Solo and said, "Hey, why don't you start doing the Spike like Umaga did?"
Mm-hmm.
That's how he started doing that, because it was Triple H's idea. And I like Solo. The only thing that I wish he would change is that he would stop doing this thing all the time.
Yeah, it gets annoying.
Yeah. Just go in and get the job done.
Find something else to do.
Yeah.
Change it up once in a while.
So
yeah, early on he was working the arm and working the wrist and all that stuff. Cena was.
He was.
And I would have liked to seen. Like I said, I didn't get to watch much of it. I don't think they did a whole lot outside.
They did go outside, and that was when Cena was working on his arm, slammed his arm on the steel steps.
It probably is. I know he did.
I think so.
That corner thing he does. That was a thing that Umaga used to do. Where he runs, they're in the corner. He runs and hits him with his butt, I guess.
When Umaga was wrestling, that was when I wasn't watching wrestling. I forget when he passed exactly, but I didn't start watching wrestling again until about September of 2008. And then I just slowly started getting back into it, and I think that once I was watching it full time, Umaga was gone.
Yeah. I've taken a few breaks here and there.
Yeah.
Just for different reasons.
But I was glad to see that Solo got that big of a match, because that's huge for him.
Yeah, and beating Cena pushes him, up the ladder. I couldn't see them. I could see them having Cena win, but then I can't see them not having him win, because they're pushing the younger talent and
they should.
The guys that are there. So it makes more sense. Now, where does Cena go from here? Does he completely disappear? Um, and they kept. I like the way they kept it to where he didn't get a mic or anything like that to talk to the crowd or stuff like that. They're kind of going with the whole Samoan Spike, thing. So it would make sense for him to get on the mic and talk if he's been hit with 11 of them.
Right. Yeah.
So
I know I wouldn't be able to talk.
so I think he'll probably maybe address at Raw tomorrow night, maybe. Who knows what they're going to do with that? Because I know he's going to go back to Hollywood here very soon.
At some point, yeah.
So
Michael Cole had mentioned that they don't know how much longer they have John. And I think it was after, and it was. I was happy to see him get his moment in the ring after the match, because I think that this will probably be the last match that he has in Saudi Arabia.
probably so. Because at that point in time, he'll be retired. It's not like they go to Saudi every few months.
Right. And then I think it was after this match where they did Miz TV.
I skipped through that on the replay.
Miz is, I think he's about to start a face run. Because he had a Saudi actor come in. His name was Ibrahim Al Hajjaj, if I'm saying that right. So he was basically the biggest actor from Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
He come out. They start to do a little talking, and then Grayson Waller comes out. He decides to hijack the show and turn it into the Grayson Waller effect. And next thing you know, Grayson and Ibrahim are trading blows. Of course, Grayson gets the upper hand. And then Miz turns on Grayson. Now, I like him too. I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. Then Miz turns on him, and this is what really surprises me. Abraham is outside. He's on the apron. Miz throws Grayson to him, and he does one of those kicks above the rope. Like, okay, this guy's got some athleticism. And then Miz gives him the what is it called, the curtain call, whatever it is, that when he slams his face into he does his finisher. So it's almost like they were kind of teasing that Ibrahim could be a part-time wrestler. I don't know. But it's pretty cool to see. Granted, they could have used that time to have another match on the card, but it is what it is. And while he's on the phone, the next match. Oh, here we go. The next match is one that's going to get everybody in a tizzy. Rey Mysterio and Logan Paul. So I'm going to wait until Donald gets off the phone.
I'm going to have to put a do not disturb sign up.
I just silence my phone. They want to call me, I don't answer. So now we're at Rey Mysterio and Logan Paul.
I would have liked to have seen a little more high fly excitement in that match. There was a few spots, but and I understand it's not WrestleMania,
Right.
where you have the craziness going on with Logan Paul.
The spot that got me was when he did that fall away slam moonsault off the second rope.
That was good.
Yeah.
I would like to have seen a little more, some more high fly stuff. I mean, they did a few things, but it wasn't nothing spectacular. But there again, it's not WrestleMania.
Right.
So
I was almost halfway expecting something similar to what Logan Paul did with Ricochet at the Rumble.
yeah,
That would have been good. But to be fair, Rey Mysterio is turning 49 next month.
God, I'm older than Rey Mysterio.
Yeah. And and Chris is thinking the exact same thing. As Ray gets older, there's going to be some things he's not going to be able to do anymore.
Yeah, there was one instance where he come off the top rope and he was doing something, and I think it was a miscue or something that went on, and Logan caught him. And
Yeah,
Logan went to his knees, and I was like, oh my god, he just saved Ray's butt.
he
on
did.
that.
He was like,
It almost turned into a tombstone.
yeah, and that's the impressive thing about Logan is that this was only his 7th, 8th match, and he knew right then to get him. Most wrestlers don't even think about that.
That's one of those reaction things. You just you knew something went wrong, and I don't know what they were trying to do. It might have been, him somersault over him, and
I think that's what it was. Like
probably land on top of him and just fall down.
Salt. I think that's what it was.
But he wound up catching him, and they wound up doing something different, and it changed the direction of the match at that point in time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw that and I was like, maybe it's getting time where he needs to stop, doing a lot of stuff. And it could just been a fluke, Yeah, very veteran move. I'm going to research that and see what.
I think Logan was probably a few steps further back than where he should have been, and he was able to rush in there and get him.
Right.
Or Ray didn't bounce back as far as he wanted to. But either way, like Chris said, it is a very veteran move, and that just scores the respect for Logan Paul that much higher for a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
And I was fully expecting him to win the U.S. title.
I was too. I just didn't know how they were going to do it.
Right.
And he's even though he's a heel, he's got that little bit of a baby face to him, because during the match and all that, he was at the end of the match he was talking to Ray.
Yeah.
Now the whole brass knucks thing, when Escobar come out and got it, and it's in his hand, and he's chasing what's his face off, and it's like it just doesn't make sense for me to me why. Oh, I got this in hand. I'll set it over here.
Yeah,
You know, that didn't make any sense to me.
none at all.
They should have done that a different way. Have Ray could have threw him out of the ring. After they run off, maybe they get into a scuffle and he drops it during the scuffle, and then they wind up running off, and then Logan could have come out and got it, and did what he did. That would have made more sense to me than just here.
I wonder if they're trying to figure out a way to turn Escobar heel.
Could.
Because I could see that. Right,
I-
exactly.
Yeah,
Because I
do
could
that.
see that with when Ray won the title, because Santos was supposed to have been going after the title that night, and then somebody attacks him. Ray ends up going in, and he takes the title. So there, I was thinking, okay, maybe Escobar is going to be upset about it and do whatever he can to cost Ray the title. But I was suspecting that early on. Now this has happened. So I wonder if this is a form of that long-term storytelling that they're trying to do. Because
That-
it worked out so well for the Bloodline. It's working out really well for Judgment Day. So why not for the LWL?
yeah, because the LWO is not going to go on forever.
Right.
Eventually, it's not going to be there. But yeah, I could see. Now that you brought that up, I could see that happened. I hope they try to make sense of why that happened instead of just overlooking it.
Yeah, because that whole thing there, it just did not make any sense to me. And right now I'm trying to figure out who that guy was. Uh, let's see.
That was one of his little cronies.
Yeah,
Comes out with
it doesn't
guys,
actually
cameraman stuff.
So I have no idea who he was. It's not the guy that looks like Sean Waltman. I know that one. But either way, I was fully expecting Logan Paul to win, and I'm hoping that with him having the title, that means he's to a point where he can be able to make more appearances instead of one every few months.
Yeah. If you're gonna put the title around you gotta come out there more. You gotta be here. You gotta be part of the storyline instead of just popping in.
Yeah.
As a
Even though the same argument could be made for Roman, but
yeah.
all right, next match: Io Sky and Bianca Belair.
The big thing that happened with that was at the very end.
Yes, I don't think that the match in it itself was spectacular.
Um, I watched most of that match in the replay this morning. I didn't know who the female wrestler was that popped out there until they said her name a couple times. I kind of
Kairi Sane.
yeah, there it is. Bailey, who previously ended Sane's WWE career, looked shocked when Sky and Sane stood proudly in the ring together. I'm reading the thing. Kairi Sane. So that would make sense on a storyline basis because there was one point where Io Sky hit Bailey, I do believe, by accident. By accident.
I didn't catch that.
Belair moved out of the way. No, Sane drilled Belair. No, hold on. Yeah, the Sky accident struck Bailey. During that match, outside the ring, she was going after Belair, and I think maybe Bailey was holding Belair, and then Sky wound up hitting Bailey.
I don't remember that part. What I do remember was Belair was going to send Bailey to the table. And then when Kairi Sane came in and made that save, but I thought that was Dakota at first. Pulling her off of Belair. Then when you got to look at him, think, wait, who is this? And then Michael Cole said that's Kairi Sane. She looks a lot different now with that makeup.
I've never seen her wrestle or anything. That's the first time I've seen her. But from what they were saying, they were tag team together over in Japan and all that. So bringing her into the mix is going to wind up pulling Sky away from Bailey.
I think that's what's going to happen.
Split.
Chris mentioned that too. Io, Kairi, and Asuka.
And she was even, different than popular. And she was even, Bailey was even, shocked, surprised. She had the shock and surprise look on her when she was outside and they were, inside the ring.
Yes, the seeds have definitely been planted for Io to leave, and it makes sense because the last few months, Io's been wanting to do this on her own, so she can prove she can win matches on her own without any interference. But Bailey keeps coming in.
There was a point in that match where Sky had Belair down, and Bailey was distracting the ref. Now she also did it vice versa in that match.
Yeah.
But there was one point in time where she had her down for a little while before the ref came over and started counting. So I don't know if that was. I'm sure it was planned. At some point in time, but
eventually she's going to get to the point where she is going to lead Bailey. And if you watch the press conferences they have been doing after some of these shows, it seemed like Bailey's been taking over the microphone for questions too. But on the same token, Io Sky isn't exactly fluent in English either.
Right. And I've seen some of those interviews, on the press conference where Bailey is, she's giving props to Io Sky and all that of
Yes.
She's helping out the younger female wrestlers. She's kind of guiding them on some things. So,
And of course, who can forget that last press conference when somebody asked Io Sky if she was going to take on Taylor Swift?
Why'd you even come? Who let that person in?
That question just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's just like, come on.
But Taylor's been very heavy in the news the last few weeks too, so I could see why.
And I guess you got to be a fan, which I'm not. So like I don't care to see her try to wrestle. And she's gonna break a nail, and that's gonna be the end of it. Yeah.
She's got the height to be a wrestler, but she doesn't have the build to be a wrestler.
No.
And I'm a huge Taylor fan. So.
Oh, are you?
I'm a big fan of hers.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I have all her albums.
I'm just gonna leave my comments away. It's just different. I have a different taste in music. I like all music. Don't get me wrong, but there are certain genres that I will not listen to. It just.
I have been a big fan of her music, but the last three albums that she's put out have been different for me. I have not really cared too much for the last three albums as a whole as I had the rest of her stuff.
Think it's just getting too big and just pushing stuff out, just to get it out.
Well, it's more that she's been turning into more folk music than anything else, and that's just not my style. I like the country album she had been putting out and the pop album she had been putting out, but the last
So
three
did
have
she
been more.
start? Did she start in country?
She started in country, yes, but the last three have been more popish folk, and that's just not
Yeah.
my taste.
Country music is one of those that I could do without. Now there are certain country songs that I like. Don't get me wrong. In general, I'm not a big country fan. I'm not a hip hop fan either.
Yeah, I'm not much for hip hop either, especially when they get all vulgar with their lyrics. That's just
That's
annoying.
the big thing that gets me. I think, and I think maybe that's part of the country part of it too, because
Mhm.
it seems like, and I know we're getting off subject here, but there for a long time, it's they're talking about drinking and cheating and all this, and it's like it's just not
That's
my.
me. Yeah,
I'm a
that's me.
I'm a big lyric guy. I like good music with good lyrics.
Yep, that's how I am.
You know, and
I like the kind of lyrics that make you think and make you wonder, okay, what is he really talking about?
right.
But Horizon is real good at that.
And the reason I don't like death metal is because I want to understand what they're saying. This whole growling and screaming stuff. You know,
Yeah, I
like
cannot.
you need to take some cough drops
Yeah,
before you start singing. I've never been into that.
I cannot stand that. Well, what I like, yeah, there are some out there. Yeah, they do the screaming, but what I like is when they do that heavy metal stuff, and then the singer is opera, like an opera singer. That's a good clash. But once that singer starts getting into that throaty scream, not
I
me.
don't like the growling screams like in the death metal. Now, as far as in the '80s and all that, you had a lot of singers that could hit those high notes. Um, now, I enjoy the Hair Nation on Sirius. That's my go-to.
80s was all hair, that's for sure.
'80s was some of the best music to come out.
Yep, agreed.
Back to wrestling.
Okay, huh?
Back to wrestling.
Yeah. Okay, next match is Cody Rhodes and Damian Priest.
That's the match I did not get to see.
To me, there wasn't really anything spectacular about it, um, except for the very end. It it almost like this match was thrown together just to exist, nothing more. Nothing seems spectacular about it, except for uh, what was it on SmackDown? I think on SmackDown this week, Cody got on the microphone and he just laid into Damian, talking about how he's taking orders from Rhea, that he's behind Rhea, he's behind Finn, and he's even behind Damien or Dominic.
And he's got to have permission from
Yes.
Rhea, to cash his thing in.
So I think all of this is not necessarily anything to further Cody, but to further Damien and the collapse of Judgment Day. I think that's the only reason why this match exists. Uh, and at the end of the match, JD comes out to interfere. Dominic comes out to interfere. Finn comes out to interfere. And then Jey Uso comes out and chases them all out with the chair. And Damien is standing there at the ropes. Why are you leaving?
Yeah.
And then Cody hits him with the crossroads 3 times, gets the win, and that's that.
Yeah, I definitely see that. I definitely see them pretty splitting off from there.
And maybe they'll actually do what I have been predicting all along, that Damien and Finn will split up, and this will give them the opportunity to finally split those tag titles.
That would be good.
Yeah. And I was thinking, okay, they're going to split those tag titles, do tournaments on both sides, and rename them WWE tag titles and world tag titles, just like they've been doing with everything else.
Yeah, if they wind up splitting them and then wind up picking up, partners on the respective side.
That's what I'm liking about your thing, that Damien takes one tag title, Finn takes the other, because I can see Finn picking JD as his tag team champion. Finn was the one who wanted JD in there in the first place.
Yeah, I could see them doing that. Yeah, that would be cool.
But the other big question would be, who would Damien pick?
I don't know. I can't see them doing anything with Jay or Cody long term.
No.
Because they fit better with single matches. Solo.
Damien and Solo?
He'd have to leave the bloodline.
It would, but I don't see it happening. Not right now.
And I can't say Sami Zayn because they're keeping him, kind of. But it would make sense storyline wise.
I don't know. See, he's not liking Sammy right now. Right? Sammy's got his briefcase. He wants it back, unless Damien picks Sammy to be tag champion in exchange for getting the briefcase back.
I think the briefcase is going to come back before the split. I'm not sure who Priest would wind up getting.
We'll have to wait and see.
There's nobody right now that just sticks out. It's like, all right, yeah, it'll be that guy.
Right. Except for this next man, LA Knight.
I could see that. That'd be a good fit.
Well, no, I don't mean in terms of Damien picking to be tag champion, but when you think of people who stick out in the company as a whole, LA Knight does. And LA Knight taking on Roman Reigns. One, I am glad to see him being in the main event. I'm glad to see him having a championship opportunity, but I think it's too soon for him to have a match against Roman right now because he is going up and up and up and up, and now he comes to Roman, now he comes back down. I think that's the wrong move. They need to keep building him up and up and up.
And it may be the fact that they needed somebody in a short period of time to put the match against Roman because it seemed like it was rushed a little bit.
It was.
Um, you don't have that long term storyline. And if they're going to do anything with The Rock, they're going to have to start leading into that here fairly soon if they're going to.
That's where it would have made sense for John Cena to be against Roman Reigns at Crown Jewel, so that could be a lead in to The Rock. Okay, I just beat this legend. Who's next? Bring out a bigger legend in The Rock.
Right.
And it was rumored that it was going to be John Cena and Roman Reigns at Crown Jewel. And then they completely flipped the switch and gave it to LA Knight. And I think what they should have done was Roman Reigns and John Cena and Solo in LA.
Then you would have had Solo losing on that one, I do believe. Because if you're going to push LA Knight, unless you did it a way where there's interference.
I probably would have done like a double disqualification or something and let those two build a
big rivalry.
Yes.
Do some no holds barred stuff in the next couple pay-per-views. That would have been a good one.
That's what I would have done with those two. Because now with LA losing to Roman, that really hurt his momentum, I think.
It really depends on when he comes out Monday night or Friday night, how they work all that.
Yeah. Overseas picked by the people paying for. Actually, Chris may have a point there. Chris may have a point. So I don't know how much control the Saudis would have over who's on the card and who's not.
Well, I mean, at any rate, they want to make money. It's got to make money for everybody. So they want to see Roman Reigns. So you got to find somebody to put in there with him. So I can see that part. And just happened to be LA Knight was all right. This is the big draw right now.
And Jimmy Uso interferes in that match.
Mm-hmm.
He's the only one who did interfere in that match. I don't recall anybody else coming out.
So if they did, and that'll lead up to LA Knight and Jimmy Uso.
Probably. Well, the next pay-per-view is Survivor Series.
That's going to be War Games Survivor.
And that was when I was thinking Damian was going to switch sides because a few weeks ago they had Cody, LA, Jay, Cody and Jay, LA.
Was it Sammy?
Was it Sammy?
I know Chris might look it up.
No, John Cena. John Cena.
Yeah, Cena.
It was John, Jay, Cody, LA. the four of them on one side of SmackDown, and on the other side you had Dominic, Finn, Jason, Damian, Jimmy, and Solo. So you had the six on that side. So I was thinking, there's your War Games match right there. Have Damian finally split off from the Judgment Day and have him come over to the other side. There's your 5-on-5. And now we're 3 weeks away and they still haven't turned it yet. But I think they're about ready to start doing that switch over with Damian. Because I still think that would be the perfect War Games match for this year.
If they're going to do that, they're going to have to. He's going to get his briefcase back because you got the whole Sami Zayn, thing in there also. You got to.
Yeah.
I don't know how those two things are going to intertwine.
They'll figure out a way, I'm sure. But the match with Roman in LA, I thought it was a good match. And one thing I was thinking last night, yesterday, watching this whole thing, when you look at all of the matches leading up to the main event, and then you see the main event match always seems to have that different feel from everything else. Everybody is, Chris.
Yeah.
Everybody is. I can't even remember the last time I've seen a Roman singles match any Roman match without interference.
Yeah, he can't. It's like he can't. They're basically saying he can't win on his own.
Yeah.
That's the curse of the heel.
Pretty much. But I thought Roman in LA was a good match. And then I read something online a couple nights ago that I never even thought of because people are complaining about Roman doing X amount of matches a year. And as it stands now, the way it's said that this is Roman's last match of the year. He won't be back until the Rumble, which I think is a mistake because Survivor Series is one of the big four.
Well, it may be the fact that instead of throwing just somebody in there for a month or a couple weeks, just to have Roman have a match, and maybe a lot of the different things in his contract. Maybe he only has to appear so many times, but
right.
Who knows what he's got going on personally. But
that's what I wanted to bring up. Somebody put out the idea that the reason Roman is so sparse throughout the year is that he is still not 100% healed from his leukemia battle from a few years ago.
Right.
He's only coming in doing these matches every so often and taking all of that time to rest and heal before he has that next big match. I did not think about that until a couple of days ago. And it would make sense if that's what they're doing. And one thing I did notice in the match with LA was it seemed like Roman was breathing really, really hard pretty early in the match. Like he was getting winded really quick.
Yeah.
I don't know if you caught up on that, or Chris, if you caught up on that or not.
I didn't, and it may be why he's not wrestling as much. Maybe he needs that extra rest to get rested up for his match so he can have a good match and not just throw him in there and have a mediocre match because he's way too big to, go out there and wrestle and have a a house show match.
So it would make sense for him to have the world title and be sparse, because that would make sense as far as him being like a special attraction and all of that, instead of trying to explain his schedule while he is not the champion.
Checking our messages. We got a message the other day. Here it is. I mean,
Roman, the Goldberg, he's not having quick matches. He's having long matches. This one here with Roman was 20 minutes, and I dare say that's the shortest matches he's had this year.
okay, we had a what's sad thing. I can't find it right now.
But that's what I'm thinking with Roman now, and it would make sense that way. Um,
Yeah, I got you.
but the real story of Crown Jewel yesterday was the ring announcer. When did Byron Saxon become the ring announcer?
Probably yesterday. Maybe it was just a one-time deal. Maybe isn't that Cody's wife? No, that's not Cody's wife. That's she's
Ricochet's soon to be.
Ricochet's fiance.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah. Maybe she couldn't make the trip. It was like, all right, we need somebody to throw in there.
She's not the only one. They got that other guy there. What the hell is his name? He makes me think of a pretty boy in one of the boy bands.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. The guy with the glasses.
No, he doesn't have glasses, but he always has a flashy suit on.
I got a question for you.
All right.
You know, they heated up the general manager thing with Raw and SmackDown, kind of bumping heads. Did you see the weigh-in with Mysterio and Logan when they got into it? And then you had the GM, I think he was the GM, who actually struck Logan at the end of it, just a quick thing when he was trying to separate them. I expected to see something, or I expect to see something come into play there.
I did not. Mike Rome. That's who it is. Mike Rome. No, I did not. I did not see that one.
Did you see it where he didn't like just waylay him, but he kind of hit him in the head a little bit and knocked him back during that press conference or the weigh-in, which I don't understand the whole weigh-in process. I mean, why throw that in there?
Oh, the weigh-in. Okay, no, I did not see that. I did not see the weigh-in.
It's just a way to more or less to bring them two face to face again and keep the tension up.
I didn't watch the weigh-in because the weigh-in just didn't make any sense.
Exactly.
So that's probably why I didn't watch it.
I mean, you have a weigh-in in wrestling. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it made no sense.
It's not boxing. It's not MMA.
Now, I am glad to see Nick Aldis in WWE finally after all this time. Um, I'm hoping at some point we are going to see him actually wrestle because he's still really young. He's only in his mid 30s. And the fact that he is married to Mickey James.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yep. They got married 6 years ago, 7 years ago, something like that.
I guess they met at the Performance Center.
I'm not sure where they met. I think they married. They met at TNA Impact, whatever it was called back then. Oh, and I didn't know they had a kid. Yeah, they're married. Um, what I am hoping that what this is going to lead into is eventually a Nick Aldis versus Adam Pearce match, just a one-off match for both of them, a retirement match. Put them at WrestleMania. Both of them are former NWA champions. And Adam hadn't wrestled a match in quite some time. Nick, I think he wrestled earlier this year. I'm not 100% certain on that one. But as general managers, give them a one-off match and be done with it. So that would be legendary. Two former NWA world champions at WrestleMania.
They're definitely going to do something with this little feud. It ain't over,
They have to. And both of them are still in great shape. I think they could have that one-off match between the two.
Man.
But yeah, Byron Saxton. I kind of feel bad for the guy because he started out as a wrestler, and then all of a sudden he was no longer wrestling anymore. He was doing color commentary. And I wonder if maybe it's because he couldn't cut it as a wrestler. But I never saw him wrestle.
Maybe that, or maybe he got hurt. Maybe there's some kind of injury.
Possibly. And I know there was a lot of people that thought he wasn't good as a color commentator. Then he started doing all of these backstage stuff and hosting the press conferences, which I thought he did decent in with the press conference. And now all of a sudden he's doing the ring announcing. And he sounded exactly like Justin Roberts. Especially in the way that he says, John Cena. Oh, man. I hate it when they announce his name like that. You're not even saying his first name right.
Yeah, I did notice that. He kept on saying, or the color commentary kept on saying his name wrong too. Of course, he's got an accent, so.
Yeah, and Corey Graves was brutal with him when it was Corey, Byron, and Michael, the three of them. Oh man, Corey would just lay on him.
I miss the old days with JR and the King.
Yeah, they were good. And yeah, Byron's a one-time 24/7
champion.
Byron was that. Corey did that too. Mike Rome won that title once. Of course, none of them lasted any longer than 30 seconds, but still.
Oh, there was one point in time when it was like, yeah, that big thing where everybody was pinning everybody. You know,
Yeah.
like 5 or 6 people. Boom, 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 boom.
Right. Santa Claus won at one time. Yeah, and our truth had it a billion times. Yeah, that was the one shocker of that pay per view above everything else. Byron Saxon was the ring announcer. I did not see that coming. Now I can understand Samantha not being the ring announcer, but where's Mike Rome?
Yeah.
Unless for whatever reason he wasn't able to make it, and they had no other person who could go. So maybe that's why Byron did it. I don't know.
Maybe you might have been something with travel arrangements, or who knows.
Could be. Now I'm not saying Byron did a bad job. He didn't. I thought he did good. I was just shocked to see him in that role.
Well, I guess the tail of it will be if he continues to do it, or it was just a one-time thing.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
guess yep. Passport, and there's several people who have had passport issues. I remember Becky Lynch having passport issues the last time they went to Saudi Arabia, because there was a tear on her passport, which I thought was
Being too ticky.
yeah. But whatever these authorities want to do, they're going to do it because they can.
Yeah.
But
I got to leave at 12.
that's fine. We're getting ready to wrap it up anyway.
We got a request for a show to review. Let's look back on it. It's like it's a Raw from way back in the day. I've watched part of it. It's only an hour show.
Yep, I got that listed here too. Just
Okay. I watched.
you want to do that for the next show?
Sure.
Okay. Currently fulfilling live event responsibilities.
Okay. Well, there you go. Chris is our researcher. We actually got to play wrestling together on Xbox, but not really. We got hooked up on there, and he's got an Xbox X, and I've got a One S. So the two games are not compatible with each other on the different versions of the Xbox, so we can't actually play each other or play with each other.
Okay.
But we just sat there on party chat for a while and talked about just different stuff, and while both of us playing. But it was fun. I've just been so busy lately. I ain't been able. I got on last night for a little bit, and but I hadn't really been on Xbox in a few weeks. We just had so much going on with the haunted house and fire department and everything else. But
I haven't even had a chance to play any of these games in months. I have been so busy with everything.
we got to break you into the new generation.
Well, that's going to be a little difficult for me at the moment.
I understand.
Yeah. But these are classics. You can't beat the classics.
I like the old classic games. I like the 64. I didn't get big into the 64. Now I did on Nintendo and Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
When 64 came out, I was like, I just kind of got, yeah, let's go Xbox.
Yeah, if we're going to do a GoFundMe, I need some. I got stuff more important than an Xbox that I need to get.
For the 2600. Oh, that's cool. God, I've got an emulator for a bunch of different stuff on my PC, the big PC, not this thing that takes
Mhm.
forever to load up. But yeah, I can play a bunch of different games on there when I get time. But uh, yeah, let's do that show on the Monday Night Raw. I guess it was.
Okay, so next Sunday again,
What year is it? What episode?
94, April 4th, 94 Raw.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that on like it's an hour, only an hour show, so um, shouldn't be long on a topic.
Yeah,
Uh,
so we
for
can
that.
have a quick show on that one.
Yeah. The before I get off, we were watching some old stuff yesterday, and I was watching an old Survivor series. I think it was when Kane and I'm not Kane, but Kane and Shane had a ambulance match, and then Taker had a buried alive match with Vince.
I never saw that Survivor Series.
Sean had a match. I'm trying to think of who he was fighting. Oh, it was a Survivor Series type match, and you had SmackDown and Raw. You had factions from wrestlers from both sides, and it was a Survivor Series rules. So Sean was the last one against three, and there was one point in time where I think it might have hit him. He might have hit the ring post, and of course, he cut himself, and you could see where he fell again, kind of at the corner of the ring, and his hand kind of went. I was like, well, that's where he ditched the blade. But man, he bled like a stuck pig.
Really?
Like immediately,
Is,
it was just blood
is
just
that the
pouring.
same Survivor Series where he super kicked a guy right at the beginning of the match, not really even knowing if he was on his side or the other side?
I don't remember that part, but I mean, there's blood
Yeah.
everywhere in that ring. And then the next match come over, and they had a little break, and there was no blood on the ring. Sorry, my sinus is messed up. So they
Okay.
put a new ring apron on, or a new ring mat down, and then you had American Badass, or you had Dead Man Walking and Taker version, or Taker's version of Dead Man Walking. Uh, and you had McMahon, and he busted McMahon open, and it got blood everywhere. I mean, there was so much blood around the ring; it was ridiculous. Everywhere you looked. And during the Survivor Series match, everybody that was wrestling Sean had blood just all over him.
Oh wow.
I was
I'm,
like,
I'm gonna have to find. I'm gonna have to get that one then.
I
But that
think it,
was the
I
same
think
year.
it's
That was,
02.
that was but the '02 Survivor Series was when they brought out the Elimination Chamber.
Okay, maybe it was
But it
one
was the same
that.
Survivor Series that they had the
That'd be
ambulance match,
after that.
buried alive match, right?
Do what?
The one where Shawn Michaels bled. That was the same one where they had the ambulance match and the buried alive match, right?
Yes, and that's where Kane crossed the Undertaker and they buried him.
Okay, so I'll look for that one. There's something else that's now finally out on Peacock, and that is the Superfan documentary.
I saw that. I saw that documentary. I want to watch it.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch that too. I'd like to do a review on that one sometime.
Okay.
So
Maybe we can do that. Maybe we can do that with the next one if we can both watch it. Um,
do do that one for next week.
well, we can probably combine those two if you wanted to. If you want to do a long show, or we can do a short show.
Really, all depends on what's going on next week, and I because I don't know what I've got planned.
Okay. Well, I'm off the 12th. Then I'm off the 26th. If we do it on Sunday, like we've been doing.
Well, the 26th, yeah, we do a show on the 26th, and that'll be my last show for a while because I'm having surgery on my nose on the 29th.
Okay.
So
Maybe
yeah,
we can hit 2 shows before then, and
okay. And the 26th will have to be a review on Survivor Series because Survivor Series is the day before, the 25th.
okay, well that'll work on that. Just
Okay.
message me.
All right. What time do you want to do the show next week?
I'll have to get back with you. I don't know at this point in time. I'm off next week, but I have no idea what's going on next week.
Okay. All righty. So
It's hitting those holidays. It's hitting those holiday, times and all.
Oh, yeah. All right. So next week we will do Vlad and or Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. As soon as you let me know what time's good for you, I'll get the thing scheduled.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. So until next week, Chris, thank you for playing along. And we'll figure out what we're doing for the show next week.
All right. Good show. Thanks, Chris. I guess I'll catch y'all on the net.
Yep. Have fun with the soccer game.
Oh, it's going to be fun.
All right. Goodbye.
See ya.